Hi, everybody. This is Jordan Elizabeth Gelber at RIFF, and I'm here with some of the amazing filmmakers. And right now, we're going to tell you all about Let Them Play. So, please tell me all about your amazing documentary and how you got involved in the project.
Wow, I was just approached and to talk about some of my clients, and I have several of them. And first one that actually came up was Adrian, that I happen to know the family and everything, and so we had a personal outside the baseball field relationship. But it was just one of many, many stories that could be told about a youth that just loved the game, trying to go through. And fortunately for him, he had great parents that supported him in the right way, but running into coaches and their experience. And I was just trying to guide and help them through that whole thing. So that's kind of what got Let Them Play going.
Yeah, well, as the executive producer, my big passion was to get the word out about youth sports and to try to change things. And I partnered with Lightbeam, and we explored many different stories, right? And my coaching experience with my kids, and then I introduced them to everybody I knew, including Coach Ken, and they said he's the story, and that's the rest is history.
Amazing. So, for those who haven't had the chance to see Let Them Play, how would you describe the film as a whole?
So the film really what it evolved into was a story about a kid who has common issues I think kids are having today, and the cross section with sports, and in this case, baseball became a refuge for him, and Coach Ken was really that catalyst there, and I'll let him speak more to that 'cause it's more of a story that he lived.
And I guess from my standpoint, it's again trying to be the coach that I wanted when I was a kid, and also that there's another way to kind of approach the whole youth coaching thing than just going for victories and getting the best players and winning all the time. There's a much more value to be had, understanding the individual, seeing them for what they're worth, and encouraging the very best you can, and they get the most out of it and become better human beings as they move forward.
I love that. And I mean, we briefly spoke about this in the Q&A after this film screening, but I grew up in a town, I grew up in Richfield, which I loved, but sports is always a lot of pressure. And the kids that we went to school with are the same kids that we play on sports with. So that kind of tethered bullying will always kind of haunt you wherever you go. Why do you think it's so important that we start showcasing to the parents that sports really does shape and mold the social experience for the children?
Yeah, I think a lot of parents understand that and they bring their kids out. They want them to have a positive experience.
Mhm.
But what happens is the system takes over. And the people who are in charge, the people that kind of elbow their way in and become the coaches, they become the leadership, they become the board of directors of the local little league. They go there with their own agenda, and not all parents have time to be involved. And unfortunately, those agendas take precedence, and it's all about their kid and their kid winning. And once that's set in place, it's very difficult to undo.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the parents and the organizations involved kind of realize that there's a tier that is set up, and they want their child to be at the top of that tier. So they'll
Mhm.
get in there and coach and make sure that their child gets a chance to play and gets the playing time, gets to make it to the All Stars. So they and in doing that, they want to be known as the knowledgeable person that has now won, and then it kind of takes over, and they kind of forget about the other kids and their experience, thinking more about this is my chance to get my son on to Notre Dame because he's the star. He's not the guy on the bench playing right field. He's playing shortstop pitching every game, and it forgets about the experience for the other kid that doesn't even get a chance to play.
You just mentioned the bench, and I'm not a sportsy person, but I do know what the bench is. And it's become such a haunted and like terrifying word. It almost is like a prison sentence. Why do you think kids today are so scared of the bench? And why do you think it's become it's almost like a punishment in like really, really bad ways, and it really affects the kids? So, why do you think it's important to really kind of disrupt the use of the bench, not actually just being a bench, but just being, the next person sitting down to the next person goes? That makes sense.
Yes, and David alluded to it earlier. And one of the important things is that you do rotate the kids, so everybody gets a chance. There's some value to be had on the bench. You get to go and see other people go and try to
Mhm.
perform, watch them fail, watch them succeed. You get a chance to say, now I step out of the limelight for a bit, and I get to watch. And the bench shouldn't be like such a punishment that
Mhm.
I'm not worthy. And some of the times I think the coaches should be rewarded for it. Is a championship game. I've taken my best player out. He has to sit and watch my lesser players, or the ones that don't get hits as often, go out and try and see them come through. So the bench isn't such a penalty
Mhm.
for them. It's just something that we all share in that sport experience.
Yeah, it's funny, the bench, right? I mean, so I was coaching my own kid, and often the coaches, their kid is on the team, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't favor my kid, and people would look at me like I was like, "What's wrong with you?" Right? And even the president of the board of directors of our little league, when he heard that I wasn't fairly, she heard that we weren't fairly rotating it, and then I proved to her that we did. But when she learned that I was benching my kid, she's like, "What kind of coach are you?" I mean, the own board of directors like, "What is wrong with you? You're benching your kid, right?" And with my kid, I mean, he wanted to play these spots. I would say, "No, it's your turn on the bench,"
Mhm.
and I was the only coach that was doing that.
I find it interesting that like your parenting style was being criticized in your coaching style, which is honestly, I think one of the big stigmas. Talking about parents and the parents polluting the joy of the game was a theme throughout the entire film. And I think that you also mentioned that kids today, like we're talking about little kids. How old are the kids that we're really talking about? Like what age range?
In this case, it was, well, my kids were, when I was coaching, was 7 years old, and
Wow.
Adrian was what, eight,
11 at the time.
11 at the time. Right?
Mhm.
And I think about the fact that these kids are 7 to 11 and they're being treated like they're 25 in the way they're being criticized. So the parents really are affecting the leadership and affecting the ways like the coaches get involved. So how has the parents kind of affected, and as a parent who coaches, I know you both are parents and you both are you also coached, but how can we change the dynamic or change the mindset? Is there a way to of the parents and how they get involved with the joy of the game?
It's interesting you say that because I, I'm a real optimist here, but
Mhm.
the optimist only comes from hope that new leadership will come in. Right. I'll tell you, the league that I live in, where I live in Los Gatos, California, that has changed. There's this new president, and it's night and day, and it really is the leadership. But once his kid is done and he moves on, it's more parents. It's a rotation.
Mhm.
So it has to be in the rules. It has to be in the policy. And it has to be very specific. And if it is, then it doesn't matter who comes and goes. They follow these rules. And the parents get really carried away, especially when they become entitled. Their kid becomes that pitcher. He's always pitching,
Mhm.
or he's playing shortstop, or whatever it is. And it doesn't stop there. They get worse. They get more entitled, and they get more entrenched in all of it. And I had a parent that was, I mean, there was a he was actually the kid hit him with a ball.
Oh
He was
wow.
in the parent was injured, and instead of ducking, all of our children have injured us, right? I mean, right? I mean, I can tell you stories, the black eyes and bruises I've gotten, right? And so it was an accident,
Mhm.
and what happened was that they were playing catch, and the parent didn't like this kid. He despised this kid, and it wasn't his kid. He threw a ball really hard, but the kid caught it, and it was amazing that he caught it. Right, 7 years old, by the way, right? So the kid took it and threw it back harder,
Oh wow.
and the parent wasn't able to catch it. It bounced off his glove and it smacked him in the eye, and it gave him a big shiner. And
Wow.
instead of ducking away and not scaring the kid, he blew up at the kid. Who is this kid? He doesn't belong here. Yeah, how do you get in this team? How do you get in this league? This is a parent talking to a 7-year-old kid,
Who's not even his kid.
not even his kid.
Not that that would make it any better, but it's not even his kid.
Yeah, the policies and rules would remove those people from the field, and that's what it
Mhm.
really needs.
Do you think that you can penalize the parents?
I can.
Yeah.
I'd love to. No, but it's the rules. It's the leader. Oh, well,
Mm.
so the worst part of the story that I just started was that the parents, the parent went to the league and complained that I wasn't fairly placing his kid, and the league got behind him, the worst parent on the team, because they don't want to deal with it. Right? They're
Yeah.
worried about their own kids. Again, it's the rule and the policy.
Yeah, as Dave said, kind of setting up the rules to be more player kid centric and not favoring the coach that had went undefeated and so forth. And and I think even as parents, just realizing this is your kid's journey and
Hmm.
be a good fan, a supporter. Don't worry, don't put the pressure on them to get out there and start or get 3 hits every game or whatever. Just be a fan. They got out there, they tried their best. There'll be another day tomorrow.
I think that a thing that really resonated with me as a kid who was looking for a mentor when I was growing up, I think it's important to know, like we think we said this before, that it's really the passion, and then when you support and cultivate the passion, makes a difference. But you can't cultivate the passion and scold the passion. And I think that's an area that you as a coach were really kind of like the glue in when you showcased in the film, which is that Adrian's mother came to you and like let you know about what's happening to him in his social life and things like that. And I think that's so wonderful as a coach and a mentor to these young kids that you do that. So I really want to know, what was your journey to becoming a coach? Like, how did you know that was your calling to become a coach? Because I think it's such an important individual.
Yeah, it's a lot of my personality of I just want to spread love around the world, and that everybody has value,
Mm-hmm.
and baseball was very rewarding for me. I created a lot of friends doing that, and I worked real hard and became pretty good at it, but still could identify with the other persons that weren't as good, and I still have friends today that were not the good players on the team, but they're still my friends, and so then I didn't like uh, a kid's worth being how well they can hit the ball, how well they can pitch the ball. That they all have value, and within baseball, if you give them the proper instruction, everybody can become pretty good. And
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, the players that aren't, they just haven't been instructed how to throw the ball, how to hit the ball. What am I doing wrong? And so, by giving them that, it made it very enjoyable for me to see my clients succeed, and having that open heart to just work with them and make them better.
Amazing. So I have to ask one question that I can't believe I didn't think of before, but how did this project even come to be? Like, how did this become a film? Like, how did you know that you were going to make a film?
Well, so after I coached this one particular season where I had
Mm-hmm.
these really difficult parents, I wrote a book. It's going to be published soon. It's in the process right now. It's called
Congratulations.
Hot Corner. A little plug there, right? But yeah, so it's the hot.
Plug right there, just right there.
Right, right. So it's that season, right? And I
Mhm.
changed the names to protect the guilty, right, and
Amazing.
protect myself, and so that was the story. But it was really about promoting this concept,
Hmm.
and working with Lightbeam, we put together. I really wanted to make a movie out of it, a movie script, and all these dreams and things, right? And they said we could do a short, we could do a documentary, and I thought that would be wonderful. And then I introduced them to Ken and other people I knew. They said, "This is the story. It's not your
Yeah.
book." Right? I'm like, "Great. It's all about the best film." And that's how it came about.
It was so interesting to me to see, because first you start with Adrian in the film, and then it comes to Ken, and then you realize Adrian is kind of like the the shining star of the people that you mold, but it really was about you, Ken. And it really was so touched by the way that you were immersing yourself in the whole experience. And I think that it's so important to have people like you in the world. So I just want to say thank you for everything that you've done, because that is infectious. And films like this will change people's lives and inspire other people. But you keep mentioning Lightbeam. I'd love to learn more. What is Lightbeam, and how did you get involved with it? And what is Let Them Play going to do with it?
Well, Lightbeam is a client of mine,
Amazing.
and they make films and
We love them for
positive. Well, yeah,
that.
it's about positive films and positive stories. There's enough negativity out in the world. You can just turn on your news stations and see all of that,
Of course.
And this short is a positive story, right? And they're planning on that they want to make a series of these, and make more stories about kids. For me, it's all about kids, right? And I mean, the reason I even started coaching because I wanted to protect my kids in this
Mm-hmm.
environment, right? And then I ended up protecting all of them, the whole team, right? And that's, I think, what I really want this series to do. Find looking at issues that kids deal with that everybody's overlooking,
Mm-hmm.
right? And kids, it's tough to be a kid nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Really tough to be a kid nowadays. And sports is this refuge. For Adrian, it was a refuge. And we want to look at different sports, different stories, different issues, and show that cross section, and somehow how sports can really put order to the system, because the system around kids, teaching kids, raising kids, it has no order.
Mm-hmm.
And sports can give a structure to remind people, hey, this is how you build a kid's character.
Yeah.
Give them a chance to try something, teach them how to do it, show them accomplishment, and that character and those skills and that emotion, that confidence
Mm-hmm.
will carry them through adulthood.
100%. I love that. So I think the last thing I want to ask is, as an audience member, every time I make films, I ask myself 4 questions when someone comes to me. The first thing is, why do you have to make this film? Or why do you want to make this film? And I think you really hit it on the head. I think highlighting kids today, I wouldn't want to be a kid today. Now with social media, I didn't like being a kid in general. So, there's that. The second thing I always say is, why do you have to be the one to make it? Why does it have to be made now? And why should we care? And everything you said was so poignant on that. So, as an audience member, I want to know, what are you hoping to people that get the chance to see this wonderful film? What are you hoping it inspires them to do? Like, or like to share the message, or what are you hoping that this becomes a cornerstone of?
Personally, I hope it inspires people to tell stories, because everybody has a story, and not enough of these stories are are capable of being told,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if they can, however they express this, to share and shine a light on issues, and don't be afraid. I mean, I was a coach. I mean, as I said earlier, when I was going against the grain and I was being fair, which is odd, right? That is against the grain,
Mm-hmm.
but it shined a light on the coaches that were not being fair, and they were being downright mean,
Mm-hmm.
and it made them look bad. It made me kind of like a pariah in the community. It was funny, right? In
For
this
being
little,
fair, for being fair,
for
which I
being
think
fair.
is
Well, that
ironic.
was my side of the story. Their side was,
Yeah.
well, he's making us look bad, or whatever. He's criticizing us, right? But back to your question, it's really about telling stories. I think storytelling is going to change the world. And with all
100%.
the films that we saw today, amazing. I mean, these stories, you would never see them anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
They're incredible, shining a light on people, and giving, really, democratizing storytelling is really what it's all about. And I hope we took a step
100%.
toward doing that.
I very much believe in democratizing the entertainment industry. Is very important right now. But how about you, as a coach and a subject of the film? How are you hoping that people, react to it?
And even of Dave's book that even was the genesis of all this, most of those became my clients, those other players that he had. And a lot of times it's the dynamic of what's going on at home, that this dad is now separated from the wife and he's trying to get the attention of the kid. And it might be other ones that, hey, I'm used to being the CEO and everybody just does what I say and I expect my kid to do what I say too. There's many other family dynamics that goes on, and the parents are, in a lot of ways, almost always, they're doing it out of love and they think that they're doing it the best way. And it's not until they do have a coach or somebody with more experience that can have them step back and say, take a look at it a little bit different. This isn't the corporate structure right now. This is your son out here playing now. And so I think there's many stories to be told. I think Adrian was one of them. And if you looked at even that little girls softball team, I could have taken any one of those girls and had a complete story about them. And Dave's sons have had their own stories that could be told, that we all do as we go through it. So anyway, I think it does. It just it's very relatable. We all go through it, as you've been through it, and that's where I just want to just play my part in doing that, telling that story.
I love that. Storytelling is everything, especially through the form of media, of film. And so, for those that want to learn more about the film and want to learn more about the book and everything coming on, where can they find out more about you?
Lightbeam.com.
Great.
TV. Lightbeam.tv.
Lightbeam.tv. Okay, awesome. And where can we learn more about you?
Um, I just give one-on-one lessons in the local area in Saratoga where I live, and everything I do is just by word of mouth. I have enough clients that I don't need to advertise. I don't broadcast online. One of the things that does make me a little different is I don't have a social media face. I want the kids to get away from it. I don't use technology. You come out with bat, ball, sweat,
Love
try
it.
to get better. You're not on broadcast right now. I'm not filming you or anything. And so it just is, I've been approached to do things online, but for me right now, I'm just doing it the old school way. We go out to the park and play catch and hit the ball.
Okay,
that.
but stay tuned for more Coach Ken
Oh,
enlightening.
definitely.
We're not letting him go.
I don't think so, nor should you. But everybody watching, thank you so much. And this is Jordan Elizabeth Gelber with RIFF.